your daily Rugby World Cup betting update. Oh, it's been a heck of a weekend. I think if you followed most of us rugby punters, you'd probably be left licking your wounds. I've actually got a WhatsApp group going here, and the one message has done my nuts this weekend, and the other one had my pipes clean. So obviously, it's not all good news on that front. But before we go into to the detail of the games and even some picks for Wales, Jock, we didn't have a chat to you. Welcome on the show, by the way. And what do you think? Final feeling on the Bok game?
Hi, and thanks so much for having me. No, what can we say? It is what it is. The score's been settled. For me, it's basically I'm looking at it as a game that basically was a decider. If all goes according to plan from here on out, obviously, and both teams make the final. That's pretty much the way I see it at this stage. As it was a decider: who takes the high road, who takes the low road, and now it's up to both teams to make it count. And for South African sakes, I really hope that the guys are going to build. I believe they are. They're going to build on this performance, even though we've lost. I mean, we've got if we can make it to the final, we've got 6 games to improve. So, and I believe the guys will improve. I mean, the 3 games that are left are the type of games that you can build the ideal confidence with. Um, and the only way they're going to be doing that is by putting up major scores against Namibia, Canada, and even Italy for that matter.
Jock, just a quick touch of you on this. So you still think the Boks are pretty good to go all the way to the final, and do you think New Zealand is still gonna meet them there, or do you see something from what you saw this weekend to say that maybe someone else is going to be in that final?
You know, obviously, yes, I am, as the caption below my name says. I'm still believing in the box very much. I'm very very positive. I think I saw things in the game yesterday that made me very excited. Things that I saw over the weekend, this morning, Ireland's game. I think Ireland has really put their hands up to say that we had to go all the way. And I think New Zealand. To me at this stage, it's difficult. I mean, watching the England game also, I wasn't. I mean, England played against Tonga, who New Zealand put 92. What was it, 92-7 or something? On just the other day. I think a lot of guys expected 50 plus from England. My prediction, I was only 4 points out. I mean, I said England to win by 36. So they weren't too convincing in a game that I think they should have been more convincing. But let's see. I don't know. I think a lot of teams, the big teams, will take something out of the game. Yesterday's game between the Boks and the All Blacks to see what they can do if they have to come up against the All Blacks. Because I don't think the All Blacks is the same team that they were 4 years ago.
Yeah, Cap, if we can quickly go on to that England game, since you touched on it. I know everyone will probably tear it apart and look to analyze it, but I think you also got to remember these big teams kind of just want to get through the game, get their bonus point, and hit the road, hit the hotel and wait for the next one. So, Eddie Jones and his team won't be panicky, but I must say it was pretty. I think some of the aspects were worrying. It's like the handling was poor, and the discipline. I mean, Rassi mentioned it in the Bok game. I think he was slightly sarcastic, but the Kiwis only gave away 2 penalties, and I think England probably gave away 5 or 6, and that's against Tonga. So that wasn't ideal preparation for him. I think he'll be and only getting the bonus point try in like 70 something minutes. Obviously, that wasn't ideal, but as I said, it was a hit out, get through it, and move on. Obviously, from a punting perspective, most of the guys I've talked to, and including myself, tipped England to cover that handicap. And obviously, we're a little bit sad, and that was disappointing. So it wasn't ideal for us, but we live to fight another day. And I think if you focus on the USA game coming for England, it probably won't be much different. I think the English showed that they just there get their bonus point, get out. It's a short turnaround, so they'll also rest a few guys. So I don't expect them to also really give USA a hiding in the state first game as well. Then onto Ireland, I want to say I think that was a perfect performance for them. You know, it was a perfect opponent. I don't think Scotland are as strong as some of the others, and it's a team that they really know very well. But they were clinical, they were efficient, and I think they did everything well. Solid as a rock in the scrum, and I think Joe Schmidt and his team will be seriously chuffed. And out of everyone out of this first weekend, I think Ireland are really the team to come out shining.
Yeah, I must agree with you on that. I think I was very disappointed in Scotland, to be quite honest. I know a few weeks ago I mentioned that I see that pool as maybe not being a shock, but maybe Scotland comes up with a surprise and they end up top of the pool. I know they are part of the everybody's basically punting Ireland and Scotland as the two to top that pool. But I think it's safe to say that Ireland will definitely come out the number one in that group. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed, and I think the Scottish themselves are even more disappointed in the performance that they put up. But in credit to Ireland on the other hand, as you said, I think like you said, it was the perfect performance. Everything they did clinically, and I mean, it was the perfect game for them. And I think, yeah, also like you say, I mean, they probably the team going back to the hotel at the end of this round, thinking, okay, we're on the right track. Where a lot of the other teams, I think, have probably more question marks than than right marks, for that matter. Yeah, for various reasons. So yeah, I agree 100% with you. Joe Smith and his troops will be heading to wherever they're going next, and just taking it up. And I just want to just obviously, I think what you said about England as well. I think for a lot of the teams when they're going to come up against the minnows, the second tier nations and stuff, it's probably going to be a matter of conserving energy because of the conditions that they play under. I mean, extreme heat, humidity, and all that conditions. So, first of all, trying to conserve energy, trying to avoid unnecessary injuries, by going all out and doing stupid things that's not necessary when you should be beating a team, like these guys. You just need to do what needs to be done. And I think ultimately, like you say, get that bonus point and move along, and just get it by as quick as you can.
No, definitely. I think that was the plan. And as Shane says, I think the two obviously the market mover, yeah, in terms of the betting will be that name the finalist. I think the New Zealand Ireland one is probably getting quite a lot of money after the first weekend. But I mean, as we know, there's still a lot to happen. But definitely, I think those were the two standouts, and especially for me, Ireland. I think New Zealand, obviously would have fancied themselves to get the job done and just to go, back to that game. I don't think they were that special, in the first 15 to 20 minutes. They were pretty panicky under the Bok rush defense, and in 5 to 10 minutes, they just split us open and scored the two tries, and then they had the game and the nous and the game management to hang on to things. So I don't think Ganson and his troops are, organizing the parade just yet. They just happy tick that one off and let's move on to the quarters. But I mean, as you said, the good thing about that for them is that it's probably going to be a Scotland, and looking at today's result, or even if Japan sneaks it, it's got to be a positive again for New Zealand, thinking that really should be a pretty easy quarterfinal for them. Then you look at the one thing I do want to have a chat to you about. I'm sure you would have been watching this one quite closely. Is I actually think your Namibians gave it a decent shot this morning. They hung in there. They hung tough, and unfortunately, a late try. I was never so disappointed to see a fellow Southern African score a try as that last try by Namibia, because it cost me a handicap. So that was I was in tears, but it was a pretty decent performance by the guys from Nam, I think. Eh?
Well, I mean, that try was specially organized to do that, just because you were so harsh on them when we last spoke. But anyway, no, jokes aside, no, look, I think, look, I mean, Namibia will always be Namibia, but I think they still I mean, I think Italy, besides South Africa and New Zealand, Italy was probably the strongest, opponent. So for Canada's their last hope to get their first ever World Cup win, which I still believe they're going to get. And I think they showed the three tries they scored were great tries. I mean, I think we can say whatever we want to about them as a team, but I think the type of tries that they scored just shows us that the talent is there. And I mean, at the end of the day, we need to realize one thing: these guys are 90% of them are working individuals. They aren't professional rugby players. So they've had to take leave well, not for 7 weeks, obviously, but for at least 4 weeks to come to the World Cup. So I mean, I think it's just for them to be there and just experience this at this level. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and let's support the guys where we can. But I still think they're gonna get that one win. So yeah, don't make too big a bet. Maybe I'll reimburse you if you lose. But
I
yeah,
was
don't
gonna
make it
say,
too big.
I was gonna add that I don't think they needed to take 7 weeks. I don't think they're gonna be involved in the last three. So
Yeah,
4 weeks, 4 weeks should be plenty. But no, I must say I was
yeah,
relatively impressed with them. Obviously, it's modern day rugby. You also shouldn't expect teams to come to the World Cup and take 50-point hidings. I mean, that's going to be the exception rather than the rule. And I also think perhaps a big thing to take from these opening rounds were that none of the minnows really took a hiding as expected.
yeah,
In Russia,
yeah.
Russia held it tight for a significant portion of the game, and they didn't lose stretch away at the end. The only ones to cover were Fiji, and you can probably argue that Fiji aren't in any case really a minnow team anymore. So Aussie did cover that one in the end. But the rest, Tonga today comfortably within the cap, and Namibia this morning. So perhaps we need to consider that. And I think someone did mention it along the lines is that, especially early in the tournament, it's perhaps not such a good idea going against these small teams. They throw everything into the battle. They've still got a fresh team, and they're still super excited and think they can do things. And it's only later when you start to have your third, fourth game, and your squad is having a few injuries, and they're starting to tire, that perhaps it would be a good idea to shift to the favorite. I don't know if you agree on that.
Yeah, no, I do. When I was watching this England match specifically, and I mean I've seen obviously a few of the games throughout the weekend, but watching this England game, I know we had this chat the one night. I can't remember the show's name now, but when we were it was actually when we were chatting about Namibia also last time round, we had quite a bit of a discussion about the second tier teams and how is this a good thing or not to have so many teams in the tournament, etc., etc. And I mean, watching this England game, I mean, it wasn't just a walk in the park for England either. Even though they may be held back a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think if a lot of these second tier nations or minnows as we call them sometimes, if they could get more exposure to the top tier nations, even if it's just one or two tests a year across the board. It doesn't even have to be two tests against one specific nation. But let's say for argument's sake, Namibia gets to play the box, once or twice a year, or whatever the case may be. I think the level of experience will suddenly come in because at the end of the day, I think it's so easy to say all that's going to happen is they might manage 60 minutes out of a match, and the last 20 they probably they will lose. They will tire down because they don't have that. What's the word I'm looking for? I forgot the word now. It's left me. But anyway, they tire down and they just don't have the stamina and stuff in them to go 80
The
minutes. And
conditioning isn't as good.
yeah, all of that, it's different for them, and the facilities they have, all that plays a role. But I think when they get experience to play against top tier nations, it give them more exposure in that sense of, what it takes to be a top tier nation, and then they've got a better understanding of working towards that kind of goal, and then they might put up even more of a fight than they are now. And I think it's great for, like you say, for the first weekend. Let's see how many weekends it will last. I think it will be the most exciting games. I think, and I mean, it's funny to say, but I think the most exciting games of the World Cup isn't necessarily going to be until it gets to the finals, obviously. It's not necessarily going to be against the top nations like the Springboks and the All Blacks, but it's going to be when these minnows actually take each other on. It's like when you're watching a light heavyweight boxing fight, or MMA fight. Those fights are normally the more fun fights to watch than the actual heavyweight fights, because I mean they're just boring guys standing there. And boom, boom, boom. So yeah. Anyway, so I think it's going to be the World Cup's going to be fun.
No, I think that's actually that's a superb point you make. I think it's often it's cagey and it's tactical and technically tight between these top nations, and that's where I have to take one on the chin. I was one of those who felt like it's almost no use to have these small guys there and they take 100 nil hammerings. But to your point, I mean it's actually a good type of game is a Italy and Namibia, because that's the kind of level that Namibia has to test themselves to know when they can move up. It doesn't really test
Yeah,
you playing against the Springboks once a year and taking that hiding, because the gap is just so much different. And as you said, it's like the last round game, Japan, Scotland. That's going to be a humdinger. Can
yeah,
they make that move up? Because it's almost like a lower tier 1 nation against a higher tier 2 nation. So that's the kind of clash that you want to really see. And as you said as well, your Namibia against Canada. That's the mouth-watering clash to see. In terms of their standings, where do they come in? So that's going to be a good one. The Tonga against USA, that kind of thing to really
yeah.
see. Where they match up. So that's going to be great. Then we just quickly onto the Wales game there. I don't know if you've had a little look at the teams and so on. The current handicaps at 27.5. What do you expect a humbling by Wales against Georgia, or do you expect the same kind of thing we've seen thus far, which are really hang tough and scrap and make it really difficult for Wales to pull away?
It's. I want to say yes, I do, um, but I think I don't look. I mean, to be honest, geez, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people that know the Georgian team that well. One thing we all know about Georgia is they're a tough bunch of buggers, and they don't stand back for nobody. That doesn't matter whether you're the All Blacks or whether you let's just use our big boys, the Namibians or whatever. But anyway, they're gonna come to the party, whether it's week 1, whether it's week 4. They're gonna come all the way and they're gonna go guns blazing at whoever you are. So I think it might be. I wanna put my money where my mouth is and say it's gonna be a KG affair, like we almost saw against with this England game. But I mean, ultimately, I think Wales should pull away and put them away. Unless, I mean, Wales has come out the blocks firing. Doesn't give a damn who they're playing, and they also want to make a statement, especially now after today. With Ireland, putting their hands high up. I think obviously, Wales would want to kind of also make that kind of statement, especially looking at the world rankings and stuff, which I know we've discussed before. And to me, it's pretty much of a nothing debate, world rankings when you're at a World Cup. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's anybody's to take. Once the tournament starts, everyone's on the same level, and then the boys get taken apart from the men, as the saying sort of would go. So I think it's either going to be one of two things. Wales are going to come out the blocks firing, and they're going to put up a hell of a big score, or the Georgians are really going to stand their man, as we've seen them done many times before, and it's going to be a bit cagey until about probably 50 or 60 minutes into the game, and then Wales will kill it.
I must say I've really struggled on this one. I like my halves betting, and it's been tough for me. I've often heard the argument that the top team's going to come out, try and get the 4 tries, and there's no 3 more scores than the other one bonus point. It's just about the 4 tries. So the top team
Yeah,
coming out, trying to get the business done, try and put the small team, out of the game so that they lose hope and they don't keep fighting. And then you bring on your subs and it's job done, and you don't really want to be on the handicap because they might let in a try. And I must say, thus far, I've been moving towards the second half handicap rather, where I feel that actually the smaller guys give it a heck of a go, hammer and tongs in the first 40, and then they just run out of puff in the latter.
yeah,
So I'm not quite ready to distance myself off that strategy. I see it is Wales to win the first half is 13.5 and second half is 14.5. So I'm still. It's obviously just that 1 point more than I would have liked it, but I'm gonna have a good half. I still think they've got a better bench, they've got a better squad system. And Georgia, unless it's really rainy and tough, will probably start to tire in that second half. And I think Wales can put it away. So I'm still going to have a little go on the Wales second half handicap there. The total handicap is a little bit tough at 27.5. And after what we've seen, I'm not confident that anyone is giving Georgia a 40-point hiding. So I'm going to go on the second half handicap there. And perhaps one of the wingers is a good option as a try scorer. I think I've revised my strategy of a hooker or a loose forward. I don't think they'll easily kick for a corner, to start the scoring. It's almost loose and a winger gets in there. So have a go at Liam Williams or George North perhaps as a try scorer. Then I saw Shane talk about the points, and it's 51.5, and we've all talked about this. There's just no ways I'm going overs on points in any of these games. It's been tough scoring, and when in doubt, stay out. So that's probably the rule here. Maybe 51.5 if you don't think Georgia are going to contribute much, and I don't see Wales getting up to 50. Then unders is probably your pay, but I'll probably stay out in terms of the points there. Jock, the only thing I'd like to come back to you again, it's onto a bit of betting, but something you can give your opinion on. We've seen some of the kickers and some of the guys come have a run out thus far. Do you think how do you think the top point scorer market is going to look at the moment? Do you still think someone like Heinrich is going Andre Pollard is going to come and still run the ship and run the show and win it, or do you think Farrell or Muanga probably overtook him now after this first weekend?
No. You know what? I don't think we should read too much into what happened yesterday. Andre had a bad day yesterday. Let's be honest. I mean, I know you guys have probably had the discussion already, so I'm not going to go into that. But just sticking to your question, basically, Andre's going to be there. He's definitely going to be there come the end of the tournament, and I won't write him off after what happened yesterday. I don't think it would be foolish to think that Russ is going to drop Andre anyway. I think Elton might get a game, maybe two. But when it comes to the finals, there's no way. And yeah, I just think Andre and I mean Vili also they had bad days yesterday, but they're not bad players as such. I know there's a lot of not a lot of what's the word scrutiny at the moment on the two of them, and they're getting lambasted, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think these players have proven their worth. I mean, going up until yesterday's kickoff, I mean nobody could stop talking about Andre. Suddenly, he's the worst thing that's ever come to rugby. So I mean, really, guys, let's just get let's just get back to reality here and understand who we're talking about. Yeah, I don't say Andre Pollard is the best in the world. I don't agree with that yet. If we can win a World Cup, then I'll start having that discussion with someone. But at this stage, I don't rate him as number one. My money would, if I had to put money on top scorer for the tournament, tournament's a hard one, but my money would be on Bowden Barrett any day of the week,
I
and
think
maybe
just
Owen.
the important one that I would like to throw in there. Firstly, I must say I stuck my head up and actually had a little bit of a contribution on the Andre Pollard discussion there, and I actually almost went towards the way of saying that he has to be considered as one of the better fly-offs in the world. And I must say, just after I did that, he went and had an absolute shocker. But I think it's more a case of everyone else. Everyone else that's in the argument, he's just to me he's so far better than Yankees that you have to have him kind of in the conversation in terms of that. But the only thing is that I would like to go on there. Don't you think that Elton would get a start this coming game against Namibia? I've heard usually you're quite good with your inside back there. That the whole idea for Rassie was to play his B team on both the two second games, basically Namibia and Canada. Do you see Pollard still staying on for the Namibia game and then only resting for Canada, or how do you see that playing out in terms of first choice fly off?
No, I think I haven't heard anything yet, just so that you are aware. But I think it's a good call. It would be a good call to give Elton a run against those two. those two games, I think it would be a great call to give him a run. Because at the end of the day, we can't. The last thing we need to do is let try and expect 100 to play all hopefully 7 games, and be perfect all the way through. We gotta keep first of all. Elton's got to get game time to make sure he's match fit at any given time. Because what if something happens to Andre? Then we don't have any other option really. I think the debate yesterday was quite big about. I saw there was quite a big debate around the fact that what is happening with JC and Franz Stein. Are they really these so-called utility players whenever they've ever been bought on? They've only ever played 13 and 12. We haven't seen Franz Stein at fullback, and I mean, yeah. So are they really these so-called utilities that they are being spoken about as, or are we just being, is the wool being pulled over our eyes again? So I personally don't rate Franz Stein as a fly-off. So I can't believe that that is Russi's backup plan if something does happen to Andre. I must say I'm starting to lean towards the guys that have that are saying that why wasn't Elton on the bench yesterday? We've seen in the past when what's his name, when Rassi took that chance on putting Elton at fly off and moving 100 to 12. We've seen that before. Why are we suddenly not seeing it anymore? Wasn't that maybe an option yesterday? Who knows? There's a lot of debate about around yesterday. At the end of the day, I know it's not nice losing. It's never nice. It's never nice losing. So, but I think it's not the end of the world that we lost yesterday. We still have a chance, and I still believe we've got a good chance. I think Hein might have disappeared. So let's just wait a few minutes or seconds. Hopefully, Hein will be back soon. Just some comments that are coming through at the moment. I see Shane says here that Bowden Barrett's available at 7-2 for play of the tournament. I mean, he already got the man of the match yesterday between the Box and South Africa. So yeah, I'm also backing Bowden, to be right up there by the end of the tournament. Welcome back, Hein.
Yeah, thanks for running.
I
Thanks for
realized
running.
something wasn't right there when you didn't respond. So I've been just
Thanks
chatting
for
about some
taking up
comments.
the
Yeah.
thanks for taking up the reins. Listen, the thing is, I want to add. There's just I'm a bit worried. I would not be on the Bowden Barrett top point scorer. That's the only red light for me at this stage. Moanga clearly took over the kicking duties there. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm quite
I do like
surprised.
the. Hey, sorry.
Sorry, no. I was quite surprised yesterday when I saw that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's a New Zealand. New Zealand number 10 is the guy that has to kick. I don't know if that's the thing, but I know. In fairness, I know there's a lot of New Zealand supporters that are very anti Bowden Barrett, Bowden Barrett kicking at poles, because I think we've seen him miss sitters before.
No, definitely. No, I think Moanga's a little bit better there, but a lot will depend on this next week's selection. So to me, that's going to be the critical one on those type of markets. As I said, if you see Andre Pollard not in the 23 this weekend, then I'd really be concerned in terms of him as a point scorer. The same Bowden Barrett and Moanga. If the games they've got left, it's also crucial. You want either one of them to be playing two out of those 3 games to really chalk up some points. So the big winner basically for me today or in this first weekend was Farrell. I think he clearly showed, he's going to start at least 2 of the other 3 games still to come, because the 2 are the tough games. So he's definitely going to keep going, and he had a good, I think, 13 or 15 points all this game. So he's already up and running, and I think England are going to be in the mix till at least the semi-finals. So to me, I must say Farrell is starting to stand out. The only one who can probably give him a proper go is Mwanga if he gets proper game time and remains the kicker. So that's where I'd go from there. Listen, thanks so much for joining me, Cappy. I don't know if there's something else you want to add on the World Cup in general.
No, no, no. I think it's great that it's on and going now, and now we can all just have 7 weeks of pure enjoyment. Doesn't matter whether it's a big game, a small game. I think they're all going to deliver something. I think we've already seen some interesting things happening. I mean, Fiji almost surprising Australia. Getting some pundits and super brew guys and everybody that does whatever they do to get the kick out of the game. I'm a bit worried. So yeah, let's see. I think at the moment, it's going to be a tough one to guess where that surprise or that upset's going to come from, because I don't think it's going to be that obvious yet. And I mean, if there's anything between the top tier nations, that does that constitute an upset? I don't think so. But yeah, I think this next 7 weeks or next 6 weeks that's left is going to be really, really fun. And yeah, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, man. No, thanks for making the effort to join us. And just for everyone else, we'll have a show again tomorrow. Tomorrow it's back to the Use It or Lose It show at 9 o'clock. So we'll just have that one show, and we'll have a good discussion on how the World Cup's gone so far. But then for the rest of the week, we'll keep Chuck and Shayla going and try and find some winning bets along the way as well. Obviously, it hasn't been the best of start for us, but I'm sure we'll bounce back. So cheers, everyone, and thanks for joining us.